Shakalaka!
Get up, it's time to slam now. We got the real jam going down. Welcome to the Space Jam.
Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown! And the Cavaliers by three. And welcome to the jam.
Still gonna go with the Grizz there. I'm gonna give them both my points because screw Steph Curry.
Wow.
He's gonna get cold. Ja Morant's gonna put the handcuffs on him.
Wow. Okay. See, I thought you might split that. I thought that I might be making a big decision here. So let me think, because this is really hard. Who do I think would win that? Yeah, I'm going Grizzlies. Screw the Warriors.
It's Ultimate Warriors podcast.
Exactly. It was not really hard to pick.
So those are the play-in games. Did you want to do the play-in ones out east, or you want me to keep rolling through the West first round?
Let's roll through the West, and then we'll roll through the East. That way, we'll get it down to the finals.
Okay. So I'll keep going then. I'll do the 1 versus 8 seed. As we said, the Grizz just beat the Warriors there, so they're going to be the 8th seed. And the Jazz are a little banged up right now. I don't know. I know Donovan Mitchell was hurt, and I haven't seen an update on him yet. Have you?
Yeah, I would say go ahead and use them. If they're questionable to play at some point in the playoffs, I would say go ahead and use them. If there's somebody who's out indefinitely, we're not going to throw them in. But for someone like Donovan Mitchell, who maybe he'll miss a game or two, I would say you're allowed to use him.
Okay, because he was on my fantasy team, so I was tracking him a lot, and they eventually said they were shutting him down and would reevaluate him before the playoffs start, and I haven't seen anything. But if he's available, you go with him, and I think you got to go with Gobert. He's underrated center. I mean, he could be the defensive player every year. He's huge. He's got that long wingspan. And then if Mitchell was hurt, I'd probably throw Mike Conley in there. He's had a pretty solid season, and you could say it was a bounce back because he actually struggled a little bit last year for the Grizz. And either one of those combos, I think, would still be able to take down the Grizz, whether it was Conley or Mitchell, just because I do think Rudy Gobert's pretty underrated and give him that spark. So I'm gonna give the Jazz both my votes there.
Yep, this has been pretty easy so far. Rudy Gobert, man, NBA Jam. I don't know if you know this. Blocks are huge.
Oh, I know.
He averages 2.7 blocks a game.
Yeah.
In NBA Jam terms, that's like 12 and a half. So that's a lot of blocks. And yes, I would take Donovan Mitchell. I mean, he's an all-star, 26 points a game. One guy who is sneaky, who depending on matchup, you might want to throw in there. Joe Ingles. He's shooting 45% from three. So if you want somebody, you keep Gobert down there, just swatting everything and then chuck it up for Joe Ingles.
He is a solid player. He never takes bad shots, just knows how to play the game. He usually can throw in some pretty good assists in there as well. He's a solid player, even though he probably is the least prettiest basketball player to watch in the NBA.
Oh, terrible. But at the same time, I just bring that up because that's a very good shooting percentage. I would never take him over Donovan Mitchell, but just something to make a note of.
Yeah, he's solid. But Bogdanović is solid there too. But you got to go with Donovan if he's healthy. And so I'll move to the 2 seed here. And, man, I feel bad for the Suns. Talk about getting screwed over by the seeding. They have to go up against the Lakers first round. Suns had a great year. I mean, obviously, they have the 2nd seed. And what do they get rewarded with? They have to play the Lakers first round. So
the Suns were rooting so hard that Portland would lose to the Nuggets and the Lakers would get that 6th seed.
Yeah. I feel bad for him, man. Chris Paul, he's fine. He's on the Suns this year. They were going to have bad luck come playoff time because he always gets screwed. So obviously I'm going to go with Chris Paul with the Suns. And I'm not a huge fan of any of their bigs, so I paired him up with Devin Booker, and they're just going to try and get steals on defense. I know you mentioned blocks are huge. But if you can get a handful of steals, sometimes that also helps you out on defense there. So I would go with those two. And you know what? I'm going to split these 2 points of mine. I'm going to give one to each here because I just don't trust the Lakers are going to be healthy. I gotta split those points up.
Ted, they're healthy. They rested LeBron and AD longer than they needed to, just because they wanted them healthy for the playoffs. So I agree with you, though. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, you've got to go with it. I mean, DeAndre Ayton, he would be your only other choice, and I just don't really like him. And I agree. Chris Paul, he gets you a steal and a half a game, which in NBA Jam's terms, that's 5 or 6 steals a game. Pretty good. Booker's not going to get you quite as many. And he's going to get you buckets, though. And then, of course, we mentioned the Lakers. I mean, LeBron and AD, they've got the size, they've got the blocking, they've got the defense. LeBron's got the threes. They're gonna. I give them my point. They win.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with you there. But I wanted to at least give the Suns a little bit of respect and give them a point there.
They are the 2 seed. I mean, they've earned it.
Yeah, they have. It's just so funny that it just happens to Chris Paul again.
Yep.
You can't write that stuff. So I'll move on to the 3-6 here, and you mentioned it. The Blazers got into the 6th seed. So they're going to be taking on the Nuggets, who, if you don't follow the Nuggets, they lost Murray for the entire playoffs. He had a season ending, I believe it was his knee. So he's going to be out. Jokic, though, picked up the slack when he went out. I think he's probably the favorite for MVP this year. He's averaging 26.4 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, 8.3 assists with 1.3 steals. I mean, if I had a vote, I would give it to Jokic for MVP this year, especially once Murray did go out. For them to maintain that 3 seed, that's pretty impressive. So,
yeah. A lot of people thought they were going to fall.
Yeah, I did too. I wasn't sure they'd be able to stay up that high. But I'm going to pair him up with Michael Porter Jr. He also stepped up once Murray went out, but he was having a pretty great year before that as well. He kind of had a little coming out party in the bubble, had some pretty big games, and he translated over to this year. So I would pair up those two, and that would be a giant pairing. Michael Porter is 6'10", and Jokic is a 7-footer or just under if he's not. And so it would kind of be an awkward matchup because with the Blazers, I feel like you got to go Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum there.
Yeah. Even
though they're both, I think, about 6'3", it would just be a battle of styles there. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, you have to go with them. I mean, what are you going to take, Carmelo Anthony? You're taking Lillard, you're taking McCollum, and you are shooting as many threes as you possibly can. I mean, McCollum is shooting 40% from 3. Lillard, he's a little under. He's at 39%, but a lot of Lillard's threes that come at the end of the shot clock where he's got to throw it up from pretty deep. So, it's a little bit lower, but I don't really put a whole lot of stock into that.
Yeah. When you're a high volume scorer like that, sometimes your percentages shrink because you end up having to take end of the shot clock shots that aren't very high percentage. So I'm going to split these. I think it's going to depend on if Lillard and McCollum are hot, and I think that's going to be 50-50 with these guys. So I'm going to split them 1-1.
They've been playing well at the end of the season too, but so have the Nuggets. And I agree. I've got the same pairing. You got to go with the Joker. He is going to win MVP. Would have been LeBron, but obviously he had to miss a few games to rest up for the playoffs. One other interesting person, when I think we talked about him last year when we did Boom Shakalaka playoffs, Aaron Gordon. What if you put Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. together? There would just be dunks everywhere. That would be pretty crazy. But that would be a fun one. That would not be my pick. I respect the Joker too much, man. I'm giving it to them. That guy sees the floor so well. He's averaging, what's he at? He's He's got 26 points. Did you say this already? He's got 11 boards, 8 assists.
8 assists, yeah.
Yeah, he's
the MVP. He's got to be.
And Porter Jr., he really has stepped up since Murray's gone. So I didn't pull it up. What I should have done is looked at his stats since Murray went down. But I'll give my point to the Nuggets here to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was hoping you'd do that because I think they would probably win. But Damian Lillard's just always so clutch that you can't count him out in any playoff series. So
bye wave. That's
right.
One of the best playoff moments.
That's right. And so the last one in the first round here, we got Clippers Mavericks is the matchup here. Clippers got the 4 seed. They're going to have the home court advantage. Mavericks got all the way down to that 5th seed.
Yeah.
I know they were complaining a little bit about the play-in game when they were in the 7th seed at one point in time, but they were able to play their way down into the 5 seed. With the Clippers, I'm going to go Paul George and Kawhi.
Shocker.
Yeah. I mean, who else are you going to put on that team with them? I mean, they do have playoff Rondo, I guess, now, don't they?
True.
So I'm sure he'll have a couple all-star performances. And then for the Mavericks, I think this is a pretty easy one too. You got to go Luka and Porzingis.
Yeah.
And I actually had a really tough time with this one because I think this would be a great matchup. And Porzingis is just so much taller than those guys that it makes me really want to pick them.
Hey, the good thing, let me just bring this up. In NBA Jam, there's no injuries. So just keep that in mind. Porzingis, you don't have to worry about him going down.
Ooh, you know what? I think you just sold me then because I was going to split them with the thought that maybe the unicorn would end up getting hurt and they'd have to put somebody else in there. So.
This isn't 2K. No injuries in the Jam.
Well, we all saw how Paul George and Kawhi played in Game 7 last year.
Oh, yeah.
And was not impressed. So I'm gonna give both mine to the Mavericks here and get a little upset in the first round.
Wow. I love that pick so much because I hate the Clippers. Yeah, so they had this matchup. This was the first round matchup last year too, and the Mavericks gave them fits. I mean, Luka hit a game winner. There was a game too where, correct me if I'm wrong, Porzingis got ejected for some sissy ass foul, like they call it a flagrant 2 on something.
It was soft.
Yeah, the Mavs were up like 8 points, like going into the 4th, maybe more. It might have even been a double.
I think it was more than that. Yeah,
they were up big going, and that they would have taken control of that series. So they gave them fits. Screw it, yeah, Mavericks. Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Mavs.
Let's go.
So let me just recap that. Then we're gonna have Jazz playing the Mavericks in the second round against the Lakers and the Nuggets is what we got.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So did you want to do the East first round here or you want to keep going?
Keep
West?
going. Let's go. Let's get to that West Finals.
All right. So I'll start with the Jazz Mavs here. We got Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert going up against Luka and Porzingis.
What a matchup.
They do match up. Gobert and Porzingis are both giants, so they match up with height-wise there. And so I think Luka's a lot better than Donovan Mitchell. As good as Donovan Mitchell is, he's an all-star, but Luka's an MVP caliber player.
Yeah.
And I think Porzingis and Gobert can cancel each other out a little bit. So I'm going to go I'm going to split this one. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to see what you think on this one.
Put the pressure on. All right, so I agree with you. Luka is better than Donovan Mitchell. There's no doubt about that. However, Rudy Gobert's rim protection, I don't think can be matched. I'm going to give mine to –
Porzingis can shoot the 3, though, man. You got to keep that in mind.
Hey, if you've played NBA Jam, you can jump and block those 3s too.
That's true.
So I'm going to give it is tough. But I'm gonna give mine to the Jazz, and just because I think that Rudy Gobert defense is going to really come up big
Okay. All right. So we got the Jazz actually making a playoff run. They never do that in real life. So
Since Stockton and Malone.
yeah.
Oh wait, no, Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer.
Yeah, they made it to what, a Western
Won.
Conference final?
One time, and it was like a fluky. That was the We Believe Warrior team that beat the Mavericks, and then they beat
Oh
the
yeah.
Warriors team, and it was not like the real finals was the Spurs versus the Suns. That's the one where Nash got hip checked and
Yeah.
ended up losing. The Spurs won the title. I don't like talking about that. Was the bad year. That's the same year the Cavs lost in the finals too. So I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah. We'll move on from that one then. So we got the 7 seed Lakers against the 3 seed Nuggets. And I actually saw the stat just going back to the first round when the Suns played the Lakers. Chris Paul actually almost had a 40, 50, 90 season this year, but he threw up a couple half court heaves at the end of different quarters, and it caused his 3-point percentage to drop below the 40% marker. So he actually, this year, statistically shooting wise, he actually had his best year of his career, even though he didn't quite get it. But I just felt like I needed to mention that since we were giving the Suns no love since they had to go against the Lakers.
Sorry, Suns. You are my second favorite team, by the way, but I can't let you beat the Lakers.
Yeah. And so in this one, we'd have LeBron and AD going up against Jokic and Porter Jr. here. And they actually match up size-wise pretty good with the Lakers, which is rare. I think they're probably the only team out west that could match size with both those guys. But we've seen AD give Jokic some problems on defense in the past, and Porter Jr., as good as he is, he's not quite at all-star level yet. So I think you got to go Lakers here. So I'm going to give Lakers both of mine there.
Attaboy. We saw this last year too. Same matchup. Well, I guess last year's was a little different because I think we had Murray in when we did this matchup. We saw how it played out. It's LeBron. It's AD. They're on their way to the finals.
Yeah. So the finals out west would be the Jazz, number 1 seeded Jazz going up against the Lakers. And so it's AD, LeBron against Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, that's a good matchup.
Man, I don't want to just have the Lakers in the finals again.
You know what's going to happen here.
The combo.
Talk it out.
You know
AD,
what?
Gobert, both incredible defensive players, got that rim protection. You split the last one.
I'm going to split this one too. I'm going to give the Jazz one and the Lakers one. Yes.
All right. I've got the Lakers going.
Yeah, we know.
Hey, I let you have the West. I let you control the West this time. But you
did.
Man. I mean, if you're looking 5 deep, things may be different, but just
right.
Duo. But we've got some good ones out east also. So we're gonna get to those next. So we've got the Lakers coming out. Before we move on to the East, I should mention we are part of the Mark One Sports Network. We've got a lot of other really cool shows that you guys should check out. We've got the Danger Zone, talking everything Cleveland Browns. We all know we're winning the Super Bowl next year. Might as well get on the bandwagon now, start listening. We've got Silly Tribecast. They're talking everything Cleveland Indians. We've got the Mark One Sports Show. They talk about anything that's popular, news, sports, movies, whatever it is. Space Jam 2 is coming out soon. They'll probably be talking about that. And then we have Moneyline DFS for all your fantasy sports advice. And it's completely free. So make sure to check that out. So let's move out east, man. And it gets fun quick. Out east gets fun quick. So the first one, we're going to start again with the play-in tournament. We're going to start with the 7 versus the 8. So number 7, we've got the Boston Celtics. Number 8, Washington Wizards. So got to start with the 7 seed. And I've got to take the 2 All-Stars that they had this season. Now, the Celtics did have a disappointing second half to the season that brought them down, into this play-in tournament. But you've got to take Jason Tatum. You've got to take Jaylen Brown. Tatum led the team in points. He had 26.4 a game. Brown, he was right behind him, 24.7. They both have good length
Ben,
for defense. Yeah.
I got to tell you, Jaylen Brown's out for the playoffs.
Well, shit, Ted, I don't want him to be.
Yeah, he got hurt at the end of the year, and he's out for the playoffs.
He'll be fine. He'll come back. well, now I got to refine my stats here.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, he got hurt, and I was having a hard time picking two for this one too, because Kemba's kind of had a bad year.
I had him. I was going to mention Kemba. He's not been shooting well. I guess you go Marcus Smart. You go for defense. Maybe Evan Fournier. Look for some shooting. Oh, Cavs legend Tristan Thompson.
Or you go Taco Fall, get the 7'5" center in there, block some shots, and just let Jason Tatum shoot nonstop.
Well, that just threw a wrench in my plans here.
Yeah, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, that's a nasty combo.
Yeah, they're good. You know what? I guess I'm gonna give it to Kemba. I mean, he's a veteran. He's got big game experience. I know he's having a down season. He's still averaging 19 points a game, 5 assists. He'll get you a few rebounds. His shooting percentages are down, but you just can't take Marcus Smart. I know he can get you some steals, but he's getting you a steal and a half a game. Kemba's getting you a little over 1. It's not that far of a difference.
I'd take
So I would take Kemba. So we're going to take Kemba. We're going to take Jason Tatum. And apologies, Jaylen Brown and your family. I wish you the best. And you guys are going up against the Washington Wizards. And this one, I think their two are pretty obvious. Bradley Beal, second in the NBA, finishing just behind Steph Curry. We mentioned they were having this amazing race here towards the end of the season to see who was going to be the scoring champ. Beal ended up with 31.3 points a game. Guy's a scoring machine. And then second off, you've got to go with Mr. Triple-Double, the triple-double machine, Russell Westbrook. He recently passed Oscar Robertson for the most triple-doubles in NBA history. He's averaged triple-doubles 5 of the past 6 years. The first time he did it, it was so incredible, they gave him the MVP, even though his team was mediocre at best. The only year he didn't average a triple-double in the past 6 years was when he was playing with James Harden in Houston, and he had to take somewhat of a back seat. So I don't really even think there's an honorable mention. I guess you could say Hachimura, but I don't really even think it's
solid for them. But yeah, you can't go with him over those two.
Yeah. So anybody different from either? You mentioned Taco Fall. Would you go with him?
Honestly, I would consider it. But I mean, you'd probably go with Kemba. I think even though he's having a down year, he's still a much better shooter than Marcus Smart. And yeah, I would probably go with those two as well. And then the Wizards, Bradley Beal, Russ. Did you see his triple-double he had against the Pacers? He had 13 points, 24 assists, and 21 rebounds.
The guy's a machine. He has so much energy. Like he's just it's insane. So they get both my votes. I mean, Russell Westbrook, he's just going to be going crazy. I know they're a little bit small, but Westbrook gets you those rebounds. So that's what you need. So I'm giving them both. You got any who's your pick?
Yeah, if Jaylen Brown was healthy, it would be a hard choice for me. But with him out, I think you got to go Wizards there, and they would take the 7th seed. I'm giving them mine too.
Cool. All right, so next we've got the 9 versus the 10. So we have the Indiana Pacers versus the not Washington Wizards. Who the hell is the 10? Why did I?
Charlotte, right?
Charlotte, yeah, versus the Hornets. So we've got the Hornets. So starting with the Pacers, obviously you got to go with Domantas Sabonis. He's having an amazing season. If he was in any other market besides Indiana, he'd be getting way more talk. I mean, he's averaging 20 points, 12 boards, nearly 7 assists. The guy's an absolute stud. And I would be pairing him with former Rookie of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon. The guy's 6'5". He's a point guard, so he still gets some length on defense. And he's actually leading the team in scoring with 21 a game. So then on the Hornets, and this one gets a little tricky. It actually gets very tricky. So number one, I'm taking LaMelo Ball. This kid has such great handles. He makes incredible passes. I'd love to see him throwing up alley-oops in the game. He's averaging 6 rebounds, just 6 assists, and 16 points a game. But I feel like he always gets what they call like the hockey assist, where he throws it to the guy who throws it to the guy who has a wide open bucket. So I know the assist numbers seem low, but every time I watch him play, he's getting all these hockey assists. He just has incredible court vision. So I'd take him. And then I mentioned this earlier. It does not look like Gordon Hayward is going to play in this game, but they said he'll probably play if they advance in the playoffs. So I'm going to take Gordon Hayward. Just, again, he's a solid wing player. He can knock down shots. He's shooting 41.5% from 3. He could throw down some alley-oops from LaMelo. So shout out to Scary Terry, PJ Washington, and the boys, but those are the two I'm running with. Anyone different for you there, Ted?
So with Gordon, you said Gordon Hayward's not playing in this one. So I actually picked PJ Washington to run with LaMelo Ball. He's a pretty underrated player, in my opinion. He's a really good defender and can still shoot the ball. He shoots 41% from 3. Was averaging 13.2 points per game this year, which nothing crazy, but that's still pretty solid. Over a steal a game, 1.3 blocks, so he can play a little bit of defense for him. And he's actually a pretty good dunker, so it'd be fun to throw it up with LaMelo to him. So
right.
If Gordon Hayward doesn't play, that's probably who I'd pick to go with them. And then, Pacers, Sabonis, Brogdon. Those are their 2 best players. They did just get Karis LeVert back, though. I don't know if you saw. He was playing towards the end of the year. So I'm interested to see
he was playing decently well, too, coming off that life-threatening injury. I mean, he had a physical when he was traded that literally saved his life. That's crazy to think about.
It really is. And he has been playing well since he came back. I don't think he's gotten too many games in, but I thought about maybe picking him over Brogdon, but Brogdon's a better shooter and playmaker, so I ended up still going with Brogdon. But
well, the moment of truth comes here, Ted. I had a hard time with this one. I ended up splitting on these two.
Okay. So you're putting this one on me, huh? The rookie of the year, LaMelo Ball, or
former rookie of the year, Malcolm Brogdon.
And Sabonis, who you said underrated, doesn't get a lot of love. Sabonis is averaging 20 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 6.7 assists. That's outrageous. I think I'm gonna give mine to the Pacers. They have a little bit of playoff experience too, which LaMelo's a rookie.
I know.
I'm gonna go with the Pacers.
My heart really wants the Hornets to go. I've had a lot of fun watching them in the past couple weeks. LaMelo is making some awesome passes, but I've got to agree. So, All right. So that means that we have the Pacers taking on the Boston Celtics, who, if you don't know, no longer have Jaylen Brown. He's out for the season.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to take the Pacers. I'm giving them both.
Yeah, I have the Pacers as well with mine. Sabonis and Brogdon, that's a pretty nasty combo. So if the Pacers weren't hurt all year, they might even be a higher seed. So I'm giving mine to the Pacers too.
Cool. Well, then we shall continue talking about the Pacers because they will be taking on the number 1 seeded Philadelphia 76ers. So the Sixers earn the 1 seed. The other person that's kind of been in the MVP debate, Joel Embiid, absolute monster. He's my number 1 choice, 28.5 points a game. He's averaging 10.6 assists. He can play defense. He's a monster. I just didn't know who to pair him with. I thought about Tobias Harris, but I'm going with Ben Simmons. I want Simmons throwing alley-oops. Simmons is a great defender. He's got good length. He's not the best shooter. He only shoots 30% from 3. That's why I was thinking about Tobias Harris, because he's a just about 40%. But I like the Ben Simmons defense, and I like the Ben Simmons court vision. So I'm going to take Embiid and Simmons in that matchup. You got anybody different?
No, you got to go with them too. Even Tobias Harris is a better scorer, but I mean, those two on defense would be very hard to score on, even an NBA Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Embiid and Simmons. So I think you got to go with them.
Yep.
You just can't shoot many threes with them, but I mean, Embiid can hit them. He shoots just under 38%. So if you did need one,
which would be that's like totally not what you see in NBA Jam, where you have guys shooting your threes. But yes, if that was the team that you had out there, you would. I mean, if you really needed a three, you could throw in Seth Curry, but I mean, you're losing all that defensive ability from Ben Simmons, so there's no way. You got to go with those two.
Yeah.
So
Curry is shooting 45% from three this year. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's great. He's showing his brother that he's not the only shooter in the family. So I got to give both of mine to the 76ers. Pacers, you made a nice run. You made it in, but I'm going with it.
Yeah. Sixers are too good this year. There's a reason they're the 1 seed. I gotta go with those two. Too much talent.
Cool. So the 7 seed we talked about already. That's Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook, and the Washington Wizards. They are going to be taking on the Brooklyn Nets. I had a hard time. I don't know a lot of people on the Brooklyn Nets, man. It's weird. Do you?
Do they still have Jason Kidd?
I don't know. Kerry Kittles, maybe? No, so this one gets a little tricky. But I am going to give Kyrie Irving my first nod. Irving is averaging 26.9 points, which is tied with Durant for the most on the team. He's also part of the 50-40-90 club. So he's shooting 50% from the field, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. So I'm going with Kyrie Irving, and then I'm pairing him up with Kevin Durant. So I'm sorry, James Harden. I know you're good. I know you get a lot of assists, but I'm taking Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. And if you're watching on video, we know Kyrie can hit the big shots. And I recorded this way on purpose today because I wanted everyone to see that Kyrie can hit the big shots. And James Harden, Ted, he chokes in the playoffs. So I want Kyrie. I want Kevin Durant. That's my team. It would be fun to see them against Beal and Westbrook.
Oh, it'd be so fun.
The Westbrook Durant thing going back to OKC. I don't know. I guess before I get my pick, do you have anybody different for the Nets, or would you throw Harden in? What do you think?
I did go with Kyrie, mainly because I knew you were taking the East, and I knew you were going to pick Kyrie, so I also picked Kyrie. You're right though. Harden always chokes in the playoffs, and Kyrie's shown that he can show up.
In NBA Jam, if you've ever played, every single game becomes close. You could be up by 15. And then the other team hits a bunch, and you need someone to hit a shot at the end, and that would be Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, I hope this is the matchup we get in the first round, because not only Westbrook and the KD controversy, but Westbrook and James Harden also had their controversy with Houston. So I would love to see a fired up Westbrook going against this Nets team.
Well, I'm giving both of mine to the Nets. Westbrook, Beal, they're going to score a lot of points, but the Nets with Irving and Durant, it's just going to be too much for them.
Well, I'm going to give mine to the Wizards then. But
wow. Okay.
Well, Nets are still going to be moving on, though.
You're allowed to be wrong every once in a while. It's okay.
You think they'd get swept in a series if they end up playing each other?
I mean – Gentleman's sweep. Okay,
well, see, that's the one. I gave him the one.
All right. You're doing All right. So next we've got, we'll just stay in order. So we've got the 3 and the 6. So we've got the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Miami Heat. Now this was another matchup from last year's playoffs, a very good matchup that I am very excited to see how it goes this year. So let's start with the 3. And it's really hard, man, to pick that first guy. Nobody really jumps off the page. No, you're clearly going with the Greek Freak. I mean, 28 points. He gets 11 boards. He's not the best 3-point shooter. He's a little over 30%, but he shoots about 57% from the field. Not to mention he's absolutely enormous. He's 6'11", but I've said this on another podcast. I think his wingspan is like 7'6" or something, just absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
And he would be dunking all over the place. So the big question is, who do you pair him with? Do you go Drew Holiday? Do you want that point guard? Drew can get you some steals. He averages He averages 1.6 steals, which again in NBA Jam terms, that's probably about 5. He also gets you 17 points a game. Not bad. But you've also got Chris Middleton, who is a great scorer for them. Not a bad defender. A little bit bigger, a little bit more length. Shooting better from 3. He's shooting 41%. I think I'm taking Middleton. I'm going to take Middleton. Yeah. Middleton's been an all-star with him. I like Drew Holiday, but I like that length, and NBA Jam is going to come in handy. And you'll need somebody that can shoot that 3 ball, and it's not going to be Giannis.
No, it's not. No, I actually would. I think I'd actually go with Drew Holiday with them. I mean,
would you?
I would like that extra stealing ability. I mean, Middleton. It's hard because Middleton is good, but you said it. Middleton's shooting 41 from 3. Holiday actually shot 39% this year, so it's not that big of a gap there. So I actually would probably go with Holiday, but
yeah. So the next team, then, the team that they're playing, we have the Miami Heat. So number 1, Jimmy Buckets, and the number 1. So we're going to start with the Knicks. You've got to go Julius Randle. I mean, this guy's in the MVP conversation. I mean, he's not going to win it, but he's going to get some 4th, 5th place votes. The guy's going to end up on a 1st or 2nd All-NBA team. Just crazy for him. I'm happy for the guy. He's averaging 24 points a game. He's not going to get you a ton of blocks. He only averages 0.3 blocks. He gets you almost a steal, but he gets you 10 boards, 6 assists, and Ted, he's shooting 41% from 3. So you've got that 3-point shooter that is so important when you're playing NBA Jam at times. So I had to think about this one a lot, and I was going back and forth, and I thought about Mitchell Robinson to get some shot blocking. Ted, I am going with the MVP himself, Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose has been playing out of his mind recently. And again, I should have looked up like his past 10-game stats, but I mean, on the season, he's getting you 15 points a game. He's also shooting really well from 3. He's shooting the same. He's shooting 41% from 3. So I'm going with D Rose. Again, this isn't going to be the best defensive team, but I like those 2 guys. You got anybody different there?
So I would probably go with RJ Barrett over Rose, although Rose has been very good for them. And it's funny because no matter which one of those 2 you go with, the defense probably wouldn't be great, but the Knicks were good this year because of the defense they played with Tom Thibodeau as their coach this year.
Yeah, good team defense. I mean, they didn't need the steals. They didn't need the blocks. They rotated, and maybe they'll do the same thing in Jam.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I just can't believe how good they were. Julius Randle, he's always been pretty good, but he came out of nowhere for this year.
I remember that when they signed him, everybody kind of laughed because didn't they give him a max or close to it?
They paid him a lot, and they also signed like 3 other power forwards that were pretty decent, like Taj Gibson. I think there was another one too. It's like
their goal was to sign anybody good, and they everybody signed with other teams, so they just ended up with
yeah.
It turned out to be an incredible thing for them.
Yeah. So we'll see how they do in the playoffs. They're going up against the Hawks here, who I'm excited to watch in the playoffs.
Yep. So the Hawks. So let's talk Hawks. First pick, obviously Trae Young, young kid, shoots lights out. He's shooting. What is he at? Actually, I guess his 3-point shooting is not as good as I would have thought it was. He's only shooting 34% from 3, but he's getting you 25 points a game, almost 10 assists. I would be pairing him, and I had to think about this a lot, but I would pair him with – oh, man, I'm still going back and forth. I'm going Clint Capella. Clint Capella, he averages 2 blocks a game in the NBA. That's like 14 a game in NBA Jam. So you've got to go with him. And he's also he's still getting you 15 points a game. So you've got Trae Young doing your scoring. He'll be throwing a lot of oops to Capella. That's kind of Capella's thing. So I'm going Trae Young, Clint Capella. You have anybody different there?
No, I actually have the same two. And yeah, if you remember Clint Capella back when he was on the Rockets, he was throwing down alley-oops all over everybody. So He'd be a good guy to play with an NBA Jam.
Yep.
Kind of like Gobert on defense. Not quite as dominant, but still, yeah, you mentioned it. 2 blocks a game.
I mean, it's more than Gobert's averaging.
Oh, I thought you said Gobert's was 2.6.
Hold on, let's look. Now we have to find this out for sure.
I mean, 2 blocks regardless is still a lot, even if it's not as much as Gobert's is.
I mean, the Stifle Tower. He's an absolute monster. Oh,
where would you?
What? Dude, I'm an idiot. 2.7. I was thinking 1.7 when I was just talking. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Gobert is way better.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get the name Stifle Tower for nothing.
Exactly.
That's one of the best nicknames in the NBA, I feel like.
I'm a big fan. So in that one, I'm sorry, New York. I know you guys have a great story. Good year. Way to go. Congratulations getting the 4 seed. I'm giving both my votes there to the Hawks.
Yeah, and I would give my vote to the Hawks as well. I expect them to win that one.
Yeah.
NBA Jam or all 5-on-5. So.
Yep. All right, so that moves us on then to the next round. So we've got the number 1 seed still in it, the Philadelphia 76ers. We've got Joel Embiid. We've got Ben Simmons. And they are taking on the team we just talked about, Trae Young and Clint Capella. So I've got to still I'm giving both of mine to the Sixers. The length with Simmons defending Trae Young.
Yeah.
Again, I don't like that the 76ers don't have that great 3-point shooter. I know we mentioned getting it to Embiid, but I just don't see Clint Capella dunking on Joel Embiid.
Yeah, and I can't see Trae Young being able to guard Simmons, even though he can't shoot. He would be able to dunk on him every time.
And with Simmons' length, I think he would block a lot of the 3-point shots that Young put up there as well. So yeah, I'm giving both of mine there to Philly.
Yeah, I would be giving mine to Philly as well.
All right. So next up, we have the number 3 Milwaukee Bucks with Chris Middleton and the Greek freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, and we both agreed Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. So I want to hear your thoughts first, Ted. You have any? What are your thoughts on this series? What would you be looking for?
So in this series, it would be interesting to see if I think whether you pick Drew Holiday or
good point. We picked
Middleton actually matters in this one because Middleton, I don't think he could guard Kyrie. Drew Holiday might be able to guard him a little bit.
See, this one's interesting to me because you've got Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo, both MVP players, long, like they almost cancel each other out. The only thing is Durant has a better 3-ball. Giannis, he's a little bit longer.
He's a lot stronger than KD, though.
True.
For blocks and dunks.
And with Kyrie, you don't really have that rim protection. I mean, you're looking for some steals. You're looking to do something to slow them down. I'm going Kyrie and Durant. I think I would still in this situation take Middleton over Drew Holiday, try to get some length to stay in front of Kyrie. But I think, again, Kyrie's clutch ability, I would trust him at the end of a game over Chris Middleton or Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay. So you gave both of the Nets then?
Ah, man. Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give mine to the Bucks then because I don't know if KD could guard the Greek Freak, honestly. I think he would dunk at will going up against that scrawny dude. So I'll give mine to the Bucks, but we got the Nets moving on there.
Well, that brings us to the NBA Finals with two of our Ultimate Warriors going up against each other. We've got the Los Angeles Lakers coming out of the West, defending champs, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. We know all the accolades. The guys are incredible. Coming in against the Brooklyn Nets, Ted, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant. You want me to start or you want to start?
You know, I don't even think this one would be close looking at these two. I think LeBron would be able to take Kyrie out of the game with his length and strength.
Yep.
I think their only hope would be I think their only hope would be an injury, which we already established. You can't get injured once you're in the game there.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And again, this is the Boom Shakalaka playoffs. So we're not taking into account James Harden, all these other guys. That 2-on-2, you cannot beat LeBron and AD. What if you would have moved? What if I would have given Milwaukee one? Would you have still given them yours?
See, I think I might have.
So well, let's look at that. What do you think there? You got Giannis, you got Middleton. Or Drew.
Middleton.
Or Drew if you want Drew.
I think the best matchup out of the East to go up against the Lakers would actually be Philly.
Yeah.
With Embiid and Simmons, with the length and the defense those guys can play. I think they would be the best matchup coming out to give the Lakers a chance. But if the Bucks had Greek Freak and Drew Holiday or Middleton, I don't think they'd get swept, but I don't see them coming out of that, regardless of the combo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
what about you?
No, I have the Nets beating the Bucks. I've got them beating the Sixers. I've got them losing to the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers combo is too good, man. AD and LeBron, both tall, both can do pretty much everything out there. It's tough to match up with them in 2v2.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And again, that's not taking into account all teams. So we'll do an actual playoff preview probably next week. We'll have a few games under our belt. We'll know all the matchups. So we'll actually get into it a little bit more in depth. This one was just a little bit more for fun. Nice to see our Ultimate Warriors making it to the Boom Shakalaka finals. Congratulations, LeBron. Congratulations, AD. You are the Boom Shakalaka champs of 2021. So before we go, Ted, a couple guys were just enshrined into the NBA Hall of Fame. Just kind of wanted to take a minute, see if there was any special memories that you had. We had Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett. I mean, what are some of the big things that you think about when you think about any of those guys?
So with Tim Duncan, he was a Spur for life, and I always hated the Spurs because they were always so good. They kicked our ass the one time in the finals. But I will say, I don't think I've ever hit a bank shot while playing basketball and not thought about Tim Duncan. So that's going to be what I remember about him.
Yeah. So for me with Tim Duncan, if you remember, obviously 2007, Cavs made it to the finals first time in team history. And Tim Duncan, after they won the finals, went over to LeBron, gave him a pat. And I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something about, hey, thanks for letting me have this one. This league is going to be yours soon. And so that's just something that I'll always remember about Tim Duncan.
I do remember that. That was LeBron's first time through with the Cavs, right? When they kicked our ass, he came through and said that.
Yep, we got swept. Yeah, we got swept. I mean, we were way overmatched. Our second best player, well, you'd probably say Z, but Boobie Gibson was like the guy we were relying on because Larry Hughes was out and we didn't have anybody.
Yeah.
How about go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, moving on to Kobe, I also didn't really like him much, but I don't want to talk bad about him because I'll feel like a dick. So the thing I remember most though with him, and it's when he airballed that stupid game-winning 3 against the Suns, and Meta World Peace or Ron Artest, I don't know what his name was at this point, ran under the hoop, caught it, threw up a little fadeaway layup, and put it in, and the Lakers ended up, that gave them the 3-2 series lead over our Suns. And that's just always been a bad memory of me. And it's one of the things I think of with Kobe.
Yeah. So obviously there's the 81-point game. I mean, that's something that you can't really forget. I also did not like Kobe. I usually was rooting for him to lose. Looking back now, I love Kobe, looking back at his game.
Yeah.
But at the time, I did not. I liked Iverson, and I especially liked Steve Nash. So I remember when Kobe, Shaq left, it was Kobe's team. Nash beat them in the playoffs like 3 years in a row, and I loved it every time. And then I also will never forget, and I think about this anytime somebody does the ball fake, when Matt Barnes – ball faked it at his face, and he didn't even move. You remember that?
Yeah, I did.
There. He's like,
"Yep, what was that? A ball fake? What?"
Just stone cold, just nothing. Most people would like,
or at least like put your hand up or something.
Right. He did nothing. So those are the things that I'll remember about Kobe. And then last one we'll talk about. There's some other ones, but these are kind of the big three. Kevin Garnett. Anything about KG?
Well, KG, I mean, you got to remember his trash talking. He said some things that I don't think he wanted people to know about. For instance, telling Charlie Villanueva he was a cancer patient in the middle of a game. He actually made Andrew Bloch cry in a game or after the game. He cried in the locker room because KG was talking so much trash to him. And then I think the most famous one was him telling Carmelo Anthony when he was on New York that his wife tastes like Honey Nut Cheerios, and they almost got into a fight right out on the court. So I always remember him for his trash talking because he was ruthless.
Yeah, so I all of these guys are guys that I respect, but I was never a big fan of. But Kevin Garnett, what I will remember is whenever there was a dead ball, the possession was over, someone would shoot it. He would jump up and block it. He would goaltend it. He would never let the ball go in. So that's one thing that I will not forget about him. And then, of course, anything is possible. I mean, people still say that to this day. I'm happy he got his championship. The guy played with so much heart, so much intensity. The exact kind of teammate you would want, just someone that would die for you on the court. But the biggest thing is and people do it now all the time.
Yeah, everybody does it now.
He just takes it out. So that's I mean, that's what I've got. So those are kind of the big three.
One other thing about Kobe, real quick. Did you see that people were giving Kwame Brown a hard time about when Kobe scored 81? They were like tweeting at him and saying, Kwame, remember that one game you and Kobe scored 82 points combined? Because he only had 1 point in that game.
That's one of my favorite memes. It's like a internet picture meme, whatever you want to call it. And they'll like compare it to other players where like one guy scores 50 and one guy scores 25 or 30 or whatever. It's like, yeah, how about that?
I guess he got real upset about it and like started commenting back and put, did you see the screens I was setting? Not as a joke either. He meant it like it's
hey, he's got to get open somehow. Someone had to get Jaylen Brown, not Jaylen Brown. Yeah, Jaylen Brown. That was who was guarding most of the game, right?
Jalen
Jalen
Rose.
Rose.
Jalen Rose. Yeah. Jalen. I just thought that was hilarious. Did you see the screens I was sending?
Great response. Somebody's got to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got. Did you have an obscure Cav this week? I didn't ask you to prepare one.
I didn't do one this week. No.
We'll get back to it next week. No big deal. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let us know what you think of our Boom Shakalaka playoffs. If you have any different ideas, different thoughts, different combos, let us know. Let us know who you have. And Ted, anything you want to say before we peace out here?
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and never forget, Warriors blew a 3-1 lead.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Seconds, it's over. It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again.